Find product links below and hundreds more videos on my channel.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Kovacam K05 stabilizer and the Kovacam X04 vest system. This is a very high quality vest and arm system, and so far is the best I've seen from China, and that is awesome. This without an oil change from the factory gave me amazing results. So personally I'll still be changing oil because I want absolutely 100%, and I can feel, I know that it could have less friction. For example, if I turn around, it follows me a little bit. And, it sort of turns a little bit, which means there is still some friction in there. And I want zero friction, which is why I'm going to be changing the oil. However, there's not a lot of friction in there, and the performance here is fantastic, especially when used with the vest. So this is the first Chinese stabilizer that I would professionally use without having had an oil change, personally. So, this stabilizer is very similar in build to other stabilizers similar to it, but it improves on them in some ways, and there are no big flaws here. So, there's no quality issues so far, and they've made one major change compared to other systems, which is that it has 15mm rods at the bottom, which means that this allows you to connect things to here if needed, like a monitor and a battery and that sort of thing, which personally I don't do because I like things more compact and faster to set up, but you could do that. And it allows you to very easily replace the rods that came with it, which were these, with longer ones, and you should do that as soon as you order this. Obviously if you do order that, then right away order some rods. Actually, maybe the guys who make this will see this and they'll start selling it with a longer rod system, because I think it's really important. Basically, the longer the rod system down here, similar to the mods that I've done on other stabilizers, the further out your weights are, the better this is going to be with regards to turning. So it's going to have less unwanted motion left and right, like I showed you a second ago, and it's going to be easier to turn and get really smooth and accurate turns. So do that. If this is a very simple thing to do. You just switch this to longer rails, and make sure that when you set it up, you have it the exact same distance away from each other, and the same amount of weights on each side. And a quick note about the fact that I have it set up that way, with this going not the same direction as the camera. I get a lot of questions about that. No, it does not make a difference to balancing, and yes, it makes it easier to fly. I can bring the camera much closer to me and still be able to fly smoothly, compared to this. If it was like this, it would get hit by my legs a lot more easily. So I can have it closer to my body, with or without a vest system, and that just means less weight on my arms and back. So yeah, so you want to have this as far out as you can without it hitting into things. So right now I've put some rails onto here, and I may put slightly longer ones, but this seems to be working fine. I'm not sure what length that is exactly, but just get whatever you find, the longer the better, as long as it's not too long that it would be hitting things next to you. Which would just depend on the kind of stuff that you shoot. If you shoot weddings, it might get in the way if it's too long. If you're shooting mostly outdoors stuff, probably won't get in the way very much if it's quite long. And now it does have a gimbal system here, which is raisable up and down on the first pole. This allows you to very quickly switch cameras if needed, or switch lenses without switching weights around. You simply adjust the weight using this. So for example, here right now I could fly a GoPro, and then if I wanted to, I could just do that and fly a 5D Mark III with a big lens. So that is a very important thing. It also allows you to shoot with less weights. And the handle here has a very common issue with a lot of these Chinese stabilizers, and that is that the foam isn't connected to it. It's just sort of sitting on the metal. And that means that it will sort of turn. If when there's weight on it, the foam will turn on the metal. And that just means you put a bit of glue in there, or some tape or something, and make sure that it doesn't go anywhere near the gimbal, of course. But I think the safest thing is to just jam a little bit of tape in there, and that should prevent it from spinning. Next up, we have a top plate system, which is very good, just fine, very similar to a lot of other ones that I've seen in the past. It has a left-right adjustment, sorry, forward-back adjustment right there, forward-back lock right there. We've got left-right adjustment right here without any lock for this because it stays in place without needing a lock. And then we have a safety release for the plate system. Moving down, we have a place where this can disconnect, both here, and that is good. It means that you can pack this up quite small, and that's good, but it does require an Allen key. It is very fast to do, and yeah, overall just fine. I like the fact that it's disconnectable, and I like the fact that it's a strong connection once you connect it back up. Then we've got a carbon fiber pole, which is nice. It saves unneeded weight because you don't need any weight in the center there. You want the weight down here and up here. We have a very high quality and very beefy gimbal system, which works really well, and that's awesome. I really like that. I can get basically I can balance this with a very slow drop time. Right now I'm at about 5 seconds, and what that means is that I can tilt this very easily if needed. So if I want to, I'll set it up with a slow drop time like this, and I can tilt it very easily and get really good tilts for longer without the camera doing this sort of thing, or less of that, and then bring it back up, and if I wanted to, tilt it upwards. And that's basically because of that slow drop time. It means I can do that. If I, let me show you that quickly with quicker drop time. This is a little bit exaggerated, so this would be quite a fast drop time. When I aim down, I have to put a lot more pressure to keep it aimed down. And because of that, I'll get more unwanted movement in my shot when I'm aiming down or up. So that's why. But when you have it set up with a lower drop time, so I would say between 2 and 5 seconds is good. When you have it set up with a quicker drop time, like I showed you there, that's going to want to stay straight a lot more, meaning wind is going to affect it less. And unfortunately, it will also tilt. As you can see, as I move, it tilts with me, which won't happen with a quicker drop time. With a slower drop time. Okay, so let's show you that. Let me show you how to balance this. I'll put it on the vest and explain a little bit about the vest as well, and then I'll show you how to balance it, and I'll show you balancing it on the vest so you can see what that's like, because that's going to make a big difference to some people. I balance it really quickly, so for me it's not a problem to hold it, balance it. I'm used to that, but for a lot of people who are newer to this stuff, having a vest there in front of them to allow them to hold that in place while they do the adjustments is going to be a very important thing. Regarding price, by the way, this comes in at a fantastic price when you consider the price that you pay for this with the stabilizer is normally what you would pay for the vest alone. So I love that. Here we have the arm. You'll notice that I don't have it set up very neatly in the bag because this stuff is so big and tough that I'm just not that worried about it breaking or anything. If I put something more fragile in the bag as well, then I would make sure, you know, that it was more properly set up into the bag. Now, okay, first of all, I'll put the vest on. It is pretty easy to do. Just got to find a way to grab that top piece, and then after that, it's fine, nice and easy. And when you position this and arrange it on your body and find out the sizing and the positioning that you want for this, I would say spend time on that. Try different things, try different positions on your body. Try to have maybe more sort of tight down here sometimes. Try having this lower down onto your hips, which by the way will mean that this will sort of hit your legs a little bit when you sort of want to bend down. However, it will mean that a lot more of the weight is going to be on your hips, which is more comfortable than having the weight pushing down onto your back, which would happen if you had this piece a lot higher. That fits onto there like that. It is a very nice and strong connection here, which is a big improvement on the Wieldy. And again, the Wieldy is the first version of the Wieldy, so I haven't used the second one, which may have improvements over that. But this vest is more comfortable than the Wieldy one, and it does have better connections. It is more adjustable, and the arm is better. And all these differences are small, but when you put them together, it's a pretty big difference. It is very adjustable. So for example, if I wanted to change this to be at the other side, I could flip it around, that sort of thing. So I can also separately position the height of the arm with this piece. So I can raise this up and down, and separately raise the height of the belt and sort of the waist area with this adjustment right here, which would then push this further down. And so I think that's great. Okay, so the vest system has a connection right there, as well as having adjustability right here. And what this allows you to do is allows you to tilt this sideways. So if you notice that when you position this, it wants to tilt like one way or the other with the way that you use it, then you can use these screws right here to adjust that, and that is awesome. So basically it's going to push this area sort of that way or that way, and then that will in turn push the entire vest system a little bit that way or a little bit that way. I haven't found that I needed to because it is straight. Just for my use, just having them both the same position gives me a straight connection, and that works perfectly fine for me. Now for when you want to work with this thing connected to you, you can do this, and that will allow you a little bit, I mean, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world to have a thing like this here, but when you need to do certain things, then it just makes it a little bit easier to do that without having this thing sort of flapping around, because it puts sort of pressure on your back and on your body, and you do need to tilt back a little bit and put a little bit of pressure with your body, sort of pushing backwards, because you have this weight here, so you need to sort of pull back a little bit and sort of hold it. So it's not something that makes it sort of magically float in front of you without having to put any effort into that, but it does take a lot of the weight off your back and arms compared to holding it like this. So it is a big difference, and it takes a lot less getting used to than getting used to hand holding it. So let me unbalance this and then show you how to balance it. So first of all, we're going to adjust this so that it is roughly, this thing is roughly in the center of the weight, and I'm going to want to have this all the way down, because that way it allows me to raise the camera up a little higher, which can be useful for getting slightly higher shots, and just depends on your needs for this sort of thing. Some of you might want to have this down low, and I will show you low mode as flying as well. And next up, we're going to move this thing to a central position so that it floats sideways. And then push it a tiny bit further that way. So the pole is moving further down slightly. And then check the drop time. So over here we're going to have a drop time of 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a correct drop time now of about 4 to 5 seconds, which is fine. That slow drop time means that it's going to be very tiltable. And I'm going to release this a little bit, move it a little back. I have this half tightened right there, which allows me for quite easy moving back and forth of this. And I'm just going to move it back and forth as needed, move it around a little bit, see how it is, lock this in place. Then here, we're going to see if this needs to go in one direction or the other. It wants to go a tiny bit to the left. That's it, we are balanced now. So now, as you can see, it stays in place and allows me to control it very well, allows me to tilt very easily because of that slow drop time. And what you'll find is that in awkward positions, like if you're shooting someone there and walking forwards and that sort of thing, it might be difficult to keep this thing from tilting left and right with a slow drop time, which is when you might want to have a slightly faster drop time so that it wants to sort of push downwards and sort of sit straight more. What would I like to see improved about this? Well, I would like to see a version with more lightweight arms in this. I would like to see this thing sold with longer rods at the bottom, which isn't a very big deal. I would like to see longer straps on this, because for me it's fine. For very large people, these straps might be a bit short. The padding is perfectly fine, but the straps might be a bit short, and that is going to be a very, very easy fix. I had a look at how much that would cost. 50mm straps of quality Velcro on eBay are going to cost you around £5, including shipping. And that's going to be both sides. You remove the sticky tape from that and stick them together, which gives you double-sided Velcro, meaning the hook on one side and the loop on the other. And that gives you extensions for the straps. So that's 1 meter long for £5, and that should do the entire vest. I would also like to see stronger connection points there and there. They do have safety release systems, which is, it is a better connection, so it's two different connections, one which is a lock and one which is a safety release on both here and here. But I would like to see them a more beefy connection here on both of those, both on the safety release and on the actual screw. And apart from that, I am extremely happy with it. It's giving me amazing results. It allows me to just control it far more easily, walk around with it for far longer. The vest is very comfortable, but something that could be improved is a vest that's very, very breathable. So maybe made with a lot of mesh or something. And before we go, I want to show you what it's like to sort of use this thing. And so first of all, I can sort of allow it to float around on its own and not actually have to hold any weight here. But what I can also do is I can push it down and, if needed, and still walk around with it. And that will depend on the tension that you set here, because based on how far you can push it down, but it will go very far down, sort of almost, fairly close to the ground. And with the tension I have right here, I think you could set it looser and then go even lower down. And then if you have it a little bit more tension, or if you adjust this to be higher, then you could get higher shots than this. Like for now, I've set this up so it's a little bit above my eye level. It gives me a higher shot. And to be able to get really quickly, to get high shots like this is, I think, awesome. And this is something that I would also do if I wasn't using a vest system. I would also be able to get high shots, and this still does limit my movability with my arm a little bit, but when I need to do a shot that I can't do with this, then I can still place this right here, and then do the shot that I want. For example, I would sometimes do like a crane shot like that, and it does limit my movability of this arm, which isn't ideal, but I can still do, shots handheld if needed. But then I'm able to place it back onto here for, for regular kind of non-high up shots, that kind of thing. And let's quickly show you how this would fly when it's in low mode. So let's quickly test the drop time before we get. So basically I've just raised the pole, pushed it further up that way. And so we have a really nice slow drop time. It's perfectly fine. And that's it, we're in low mode. Another thing that I found that I can do with this fairly easily is a sort of slider type shots. Because I have a strong connection to my body, I'm able to do things like this. Very slow slider-like shots that I wouldn't be able to do handheld, because controlling that speed, it would be more difficult to do handheld and get it as good as I would want it, because to do this sort of slow move is just quite difficult without some sort of help from a mechanical thing. In low mode, of course, I can still tilt it for crotch shots if needed. And in low mode, of course, I could still flip it back up for a quick up-high shot. But if I let go, it will want to flip around completely. So once it gets to there, it'll start wanting to flip. So in conclusion, I'm getting amazing results with this. I'm really happy with the system and really loving what I've been able to do with it. And yeah, so this may be the system that replaces my GlideCam HD. And I may still keep the GlideCam for now because it is a small system, so when I want a really compact, tiny system, that still is great. But for long shoots, this thing is really going to make a difference. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos, and I'll see you guys soon.